Bob Odenkirk said that Better Call Saul was probably a once-in-a-lifetime role in his career. His iconic character Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad has sprung a spin-off series that is doing just as well as the original classic. His embodiment of playing Saul Goodman or Jimmy McGill is not only great, perfect for the role. Why? With half of his career doing stand-up comedy and playing comedic roles, you see this woven into Jimmy McGill's character with a touch of sadness and brooding undertone. This is because Bob Odenkirk is not simply playing Saul Goodman, but bringing an aspect of his life, his comedy background in this case, into the character's shoes, which is why Bob Odenkirk fit the role perfectly. To understand Bob Odenkirk, who was originally a comedic actor, but plays a serious role in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul so well, we have to understand why most comedians are masters in the craft of acting. To start off, Sanford Meisner, a famous American actor and acting teacher who invented the famous Meisner technique, said that acting is living truthfully in imaginary circumstances. If you look at other comedians such as Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler taking on serious roles, you just can't imagine them playing a serious role, and when they do, they blow you away and their comedic background adds another depth to who they are and what they can bring in terms of their seriousness. Jim Carrey blows us away with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Adam Sandler blows us away with Cut Gems. The irony when it comes to comedians taking on serious roles is just night and day. Christmas and Halloween, they're just polar opposites of each other, and when they pull it off, that just shows that comedians are just masters of acting. That is because comedians also require the same set of skills in acting, just like performing a comedy routine in front of the audience. Although jokes are rehearsed and scripted, it's the fact that comedians are still able to deliver the joke like it's their first time telling it commands a swarm of laughter from the audience, despite the fact that they probably performed the same joke for the 100th time, and every time they tell it, it feels genuine and doesn't feel scripted. The ability to demarcate an improvisation or script from reality is an important quality when it comes to acting in general. But what makes the delivery of a line or action genuine? Same thing applies to Bob Odenkirk. He is the master of blurring this clear distinction to convey an authentic and genuine portrayal of Saul Goodman. The natural quirkiness of Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad comes from the comedic routines that he has done in the past, that he is actually bringing something real from his life for the audience. His comedy background adds a depth of character and personality to Saul Goodman. Not only is Bob Odenkirk's acting genius in Breaking Bad, but his talent is demonstrated to the full extent in Better Call Saul when he plays Saul Goodman's backstory. In Better Call Saul, we see not only the quirky and comical side of Saul, but also the anger and the sadness. By expressing these array of emotions, the comical personality of Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad becomes the tip of the iceberg, since everything else below makes us perceive his quirky and witty personality differently and gives us a different perspective. This gamut of emotions makes the character and acting genuine instead of one-dimensional and dull. In theater, actors use something called scene beats, which refers to an actor changing the dynamic, emotion, or motivation towards them. Bob Odenkirk is able to demonstrate these different beats to present what the character is feeling. One of the many examples that demonstrates this is when Jimmy reads Chuck's letter in the courtroom. He first reads the letters
between me and him,
then transitions into a remorseful tone.
My brother Chuck, you knew him. He loved me.
Transitions into a comical tone.
Difficult. And he knew how to get under your skin. Could be a real son of a bitch. Chuck.
Then returns into remorseful tone again.
I'll never be as moral as him. I'll never be as smart. I'll never be as respected. I'll never be as good as Chuck.
There were at least 3 different changes throughout the scene, and Bob Odenkirk demonstrates this to the full extent. The ability to navigate these range of tone and emotions in a dialogue shows that he is not only a great comedian, but also an amazing actor. Although this scene seems simple, it's just one of the many examples of being able to navigate and maneuver into different scene beats and being able to shift action, motion, and tone one line after the next. Some actors are not able to pull it off, such as Jerry Seinfeld. Also has some similar background as Bob Odenkirk, but does not pull off very well. Every time Jerry shows that he was frustrated or angry, it comes off as ingenuine and fake. Every time he argues with Elaine, Kramer, or George Costanza, he tries to show frustration, but in a very exaggerated way. That is because his angry emotion is very linear, with the lack of diverse scene beats and shifts in his tone and emotion. That is why it seems exaggerated, when in reality, anger and frustration is a complex emotion, and there are many shifts in tone, emotion, and action in that. Compare this to an argument scene in Better Call Saul when Jimmy McGill gets into an argument with Kim Wexler, frustrated that she gave up law altogether. He enters the apartment bursting into frustration.
So get your printer, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here.
But Jimmy.
Pauses, tones down a bit to collect himself,
Kim, please.
Jimmy.
and then tries to sound optimistic.
Tell me what I need to do to change, okay? Just tell me what it is and I'll do it.
Not only is Bob Odenkirk trying to show anger and frustration of Jimmy McGill, but there's dynamic to his anger and frustration. That is what makes Bob Odenkirk the perfect role for Saul Goodman. A one-dimensional character is given depth and dynamic with Bob Odenkirk's performance by having the ability to have these subtle shifts. The only reason Saul Goodman has so many layers to his character is not just because of the writing, but because of the ability to deliver it on screen and convey and grasp the complex emotions Saul Goodman or Jimmy McGill is feeling at the time. If Bob Odenkirk doesn't play Saul Goodman in the first place, I believe that the Saul Goodman we know just wouldn't exist.